Hey, welcome back. So you've learned a few chords. How do you make it a song? You know what you need is rhythm. And ukulele is an amazing place to start with a conversation about rhythm. It applies to any instrument, really. But I'm going to stick with the ukulele today. And in particular, I'm going to show you one of the most popular, most versatile strumming patterns that you can learn. And again, it flows so well in the uk, but it applies to anything. So if you want to pluck along, go ahead and grab your instrument. Otherwise, stay tuned and we'll get going. All right, rhythm. Usually when I get started with rhythm, I normally start with a tap of the foot. Now, a tap of the foot creates what you might call a cadence or a repeated sound that your brain picks up and you can identify, it's happening every time, same way. So you could kind of count to this, like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. You may have heard those kinds of things. All that is just counting to help add a little more complexity to understanding. You don't really have to count at all. The point is that you just got an idea. You can just carry it in your head even, or just a bop of the head. And to that, just that understanding of a repeated pattern, you add all downs. And what we're gonna go here for getting to this strumming pattern is 3 steps. So first we'll start with all downs. Step 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Count it or don't. But I'm tapping my foot, which helps me a little bit to stay in tempo. You don't have to. And a little variance, is okay. A little bit of variance is okay. But you're trying to keep it on time. You're trying to keep it on some sort of repeated. Now this is where I'll know, anytime you're strumming, it represents really well on a ukulele when if you hit with your nail, it's a little brighter than if you hit with the pad. So you could play with that. And so in a graphic, this might show like a D for down, an arrow pointing down. But yeah, it's just referring to putting the finger from the top to the bottom. Now conversely, step 2 is you add the ups. After every down, what you get to? You got the ups, right? Sunshine follows the clouds. But here we go. So your ups, it's kind of a similar thing to down, but you'll notice it feels different, so you just play with it. On the ukulele, a lot of times people start with just drawing their finger up. You can do it with your thumb as well. But it does note you got the pad of the finger coming up versus maybe a nail on the thumb. Changes the sound a little bit. Good time to play with that. If you want to tap your foot as you're going and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's fine. Maybe no counting and you just try and keep it as good as you can. Maybe you switch it up between the thumb and the finger. Point is you're trying to keep that cadence good. And you don't really need to make much more of it than that. So you got your downs, you got your ups, and you can change how the downs sound and you can change how the ups sound, right? You can play with the noise, how loud it is. You can play with those dynamics. So downs and ups, and with as much complexity as you want to give to it. Step 3 is you mix it all together. This is a really big 3-step process here, so I hope you can follow along. So you got your downs. Step 2, you got your ups. Step 3, you mix them up. And it doesn't mean you have to go crazy at first, just kind of play with the idea of doing both. And maybe you try and find some cadence of the two of them, where you're kind of just strumming around, and the way that you do it's different, but maybe the way that you go down one time, you do it with your thumb, maybe the finger another time, maybe you do 4 ups in a row, maybe 5. At some point you maybe lose track of where you're at, and it doesn't matter, because if you're following a tempo, or if you're following some pattern in your head, you'll find it all kind of sticks together, which is nice, and that's playing with rhythm, very, very simply. Now, what you want to get to at some point is, let's start with, this is where we'll introduce a chord to this. Let's do a C major chord, which I'll show you if you're unfamiliar. C major is just right there. Now, that would be the bottom string on the 3rd fret. So the first space 1, second space 2, third space 3. So C major chord. Now, that's what that sounds like with the down. That's what it sounds like with an up. And so let's play at this a bit. We're gonna break it into 4 chunks. A down up, an up, a down, up. Let's try that again. A down, up, an up, down, up. Try that again. So there's 4 chunks. 1 chunk down, second down, up, 3rd chunk up, 4th down, up. So. For that possibly? Yeah. So what you kind of add to this, you might add a count if you're a counting person. That would kind of go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, if that works for you. Otherwise, you can kind of sit with it. So you speed it up at some point. Yeah, so you got at some point it's kind of hard to tell where the chunks kind of start and stop, and then you kind of feel like, oh shoot, I'm a little lost. And if you start to find yourself wondering if it's a down or an up, maybe don't worry about it so much at the beginning, because at some point the hand takes over, and that's what you want, is where the hand can start strumming and you can be talking and you don't have to really think about it because you're just letting it go. And at some point it ends up patterning out pretty good because a part of your brain gets dedicated to song patterning. If you don't have that section in your brain yet, I promise it comes, and this really helps. So you start with just some downstrokes and playing with different varieties, upstrokes, different varieties. Just start putting them together loosely and trying to do it some sort of tempo or cadence that makes you happy. And then from there I would go to this chunking out of a sound. So down, down, up, down, up. And you can change the downs. But you see what the fun thing is with this is there's a long part and then a doo-doo. And then a long part and then a doo-doo. So it's like long, short, short, long, short, short. And what that kind of ends up creating is this sense of kind of dancing, you know? And that's what leads you from playing a chord to playing a melody or a song, is that sense when you're dancing a little bit. So I would say if you were to add anything to that, it's just play what finds you and what brings you joy. Because as you start strumming through these things, it might start going that it feels like you're off in some other place. But if you just let it be and you find what it was that you did and try and repeat it once or repeat it twice even, you'll find that even that becomes a bit more of a melodic sense, and then you're kind of making your own way. So even if you find something that someone else has done, or you end up doing your own thing, and in the end you kind of end up repeating it, and then that ends up being melody. And then the next thing you know, you're playing a song, and all of that was on a G major. So you could try switching between chords as well if you've got a little bit more of a technique in you, and trying to find places to change chords amidst the strumming pattern is a delightful thing to do. There's just so much that you can go with that. But I would say stick with your C and just make it feel good with the right hand and really find a rhythm there. See how much of a song you can create with that strumming pattern. And I think you'll find a lot more from it. So this pattern that you've got, whatever you find with this, it can become a superpower. Try and remember these things, and that becomes a bit of a practice, just in terms of letting yourself play the way that's best. And if you find a pattern that you like, that you keep returning to, that can be something that you can apply to any number of songs. And it becomes then a way that expresses your identity in a unique way. And that's just as well, that's so fun, it's so creative, and I hope that you explore that. If you find any of these paths from getting started here, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to find some more content from me, check out the YouTube channel or my website, Everything's linked in the bio. Give a like, give a subscribe, and stay tuned. We'll be releasing videos weekly. And break. Wait for it.